So it's almost yeah, it's 12:28 in Kenya right away, and of course, guys, you understand what was to be during such a day. For those who are outside the city, we can't actually feel what they call SABASABA Day, but those in the city, our friends in the city, families, of course, everything has been disrupted from business to work to the daily expectations, with a lot of fear among some of them who think that maybe the day will not go down well, you know. Considering the fact that sometimes the life that is lost, business that are looted and all that, there is a lot of fear in the country, especially those who are within main cities. And of course, regardless of the CS in charge of public service indicating that nobody should have an excuse not to go to work, there have been automatically some people who've not gone to work. So guys, how are you? How are you doing? Maybe I have friends from Sydney, India, and South Africa and different places. How is your country? How are you doing? I hope everything is fine, and we are hoping that things will be fine here. So today, of course, the difference from other demonstrations is that there was blockage of major roads in Nairobi. For those of you who have traveled here, I have somebody from Turkey said that you had been in Kenya and understand the city. So if you know the city, of course, several roads which have been blocked. Among them is Jogo Road, Thika Road, Waiyaki Way, and that. However, that does not mean that people are not attempting to go into the city and maybe see on a way out, you know. One thing that we've been discussing and wondering why the youth are persistently deciding that they have to go before the police and parade themselves and, you know, wave flags, you know, burn tires and all that. We've been wondering why this happens. And of course, when you come down to the desperation of citizens, the fact that they think that the leadership is not listening to them, that there is nothing that has happened since leadership came in. However much that leaders claim they have done a lot of changes, especially talking about housing, that they brought about creating employment for people who construct, the fact that maybe they have done some markets, roads, that does not seem to be fit with the citizens because most of them are jobless, and the fact that education has become so expensive, with some not managing to pay fee for their kids, some not making it to have a meal on the table at the end of the day, and maybe some individuals extraordinarily growing very fast. The examples of the leaders in government who are doing well and extraordinarily well because they have leisures that you don't even need, but they still I feel like they have a right than any other citizen. The other thing that is really pushing the citizens is the kind of sentiments we hear from leaders. Of course, in the world, I hope everybody has heard what CS Murkomen said, and we have heard Sudi also saying that citizens deserve to be shot in case they approach the police station, like 20 bullets, not just one. We saw CS Murkomen also saying that people approaching the police station should be shot dead, and such sentiments, however much they think that they are saying the right thing, and they are saying that they are not going to listen to the right people, it really makes people frustrated. Now, some of these people who are jobless, they decide to go for death because they don't have an option. Now, let's look into what is happening. For example, there is trending video on what has happened at Kangemi with no cars allowed to enter, but still the young people racing into the streets to just prove some point. Whatever point it is, maybe we will be knowing with time. So guys, give me a like. I thank you for one like there. We have 5 people online. That is on the live stream. Thank you so much for your love, and I appreciate that a lot. I don't take it for granted because it is you know, sacrifice to come here on my live stream and appear. Yeah, so in case my live stream is not very clear, you can also make me know, because sometimes I do live streams, then later on come to see that they were shaky, maybe because of the sun or something like that. So you can make me aware just in case this is happening. So let's go into this. I'll be turning the camera to show you what's happening. So guys, those are the kind of confrontations that have been posted about Kangemi. Of course, you understand Kangemi is just on the way to Nairobi City, that is before Westlands. So, and this is one of the area that is really populated with a lot of different people of low class who are struggling with life. And of course, in this kind of environment, you find that many young people grow up with violence, and so they don't really give a damn, you know. They don't really care what happens. Even if they lose life, most of them even choose to go into crime. Some are delinquent. They stopped school long ago. And some are really struggling to make ends meet. Some of them are going to, odd jobs every day. So you see an example of that, and you quite understand. Another area which was on the spotlight was Kitengela and Karatina. So let's get into Karatina and so what happened. Maybe start with Kitengela first before we go into Karatina. Now Kitengela is just before you get into town from Mavoko end, and this is one of the areas that was occupied by the Maasai in Kenya in past. But currently, so many people have bought land there. In fact, you've seen in most of my videos, I've referred to one of the pieces of land. We bought one there with a group. So this is an environment with a variety of people, most of them building residentials, but still we have rental houses, those sites, whereby people, live in rental houses and others have residential homes, because that is the only place that has been having a bit of cheaper land than any other area. Maybe if you go to Thika Road, off Thika Road, Uthiru and such areas, that's where you can also find some cheaper land. So when you come to the situation of Kitengela, I'm seeing a lot of light here. I don't know. Maybe I should sit like this so that I'm a bit clear. Yeah, so I think this is a better position than what I was. Now, Ama Savare, why this army? For where are you now? I heard what about one village in Africa that foreigner girls come there to buy just for fun. It's true. Ama Savad. We have different areas because I've been in Coast for a very long time. Now, Savado, if you go to an area like Kilifi, Malindi, Lamu, not everybody will embrace that, but it's not even one village. It's different villages with different people with different intentions. So as you're saying that a village in Africa where foreign girls come to buy a man, I've seen this kind of culture among the Griama people. When you check among the Griama people, and I'm not profiling all of them, but I've been in Coast, and this is one experience that I realized that some of the people in Griama land decide that they would rather give away their man to maybe women who are ready to pay, and they survive through such a means because maybe they don't want to work or they find that life on the other side is a great hassle. And also, if you check among the Maasai, such a habits are happening, but just among the few. You also check, it was happening partly in Nyabohanse, whereby the YouTubers who started whatever they were doing, they decided that they will be doing the brothel thing, the house of pleasure and all that. But currently, I can't actually have evidence on what is happening. But let me assure you that in most of African villages, Amar Savade, it happens that sometimes it's a patriarchal situation, and what a man will decide will define the day. But with current situation, women have decided also to have a voice. And so in other homes, people will not accept this. Even a village itself, some villages, people will not accept this. And if they hear such things happening, they'll be up to the task to question you. So maybe we'll be getting to research more and see whether there is a specific one. If I get an answer, then I'll come back to you, Amar Savad. So thank you so much for those who are coming on board. Let's get to the situation of Kitengela. The Kitengela youth, of course, have been seen on the streets. And as I've told you, understand, Kitengela is when you are coming from Mombasa Road and you're approaching town. And it's an area which has of industries, especially for cement and all that. So let's look at this, for example. What happened there? I hope this is a bit clearer. I don't know.
They act people and not themselves. I hope that the demonstrations will get to be heard. But let's go to Kitengela, where we touch base with Suleiman.
Yeah, thank you, Ahmad Savad.
Who is there? Good morning, Suleiman. It has this morning. Just what's the 2024 Gen Z demonstration? Kindly allow me to speak in Swahili. Hapa tupo katika mji wa Kitengela, upo katika kaunti ya Kajiado. Kadri unavyoona ni kwamba umekuwa ukishuhudia maandamano mara kwa mara. Kila wakati maandamano yamekuwa yakiitishwa, mji huu Kitengela umekuwa mmoja ambayo kumekuwa kushuhudiwa maandamano ambayo yamekuwa ya hasia. Leo hii tunaona Manga Bisil imefungwa vile vile.
You understand that Kitengela also allows people to come in from the border through Namanga. So Amar Savad is telling me you have a deep knowledge about your continent or your country. Of course, I do. I really love a lot of current affairs and history too. So that's why I've been informed about a lot of information, whether about my county and other counties and the country at large. And also I've lived in several places in Kenya, that is including Western. I've been in northeastern Garissa. I've been in a coast, that is coast side of the country. I've been in Nairobi, and I have been in Nyanza a bit with a lot of friends there. And also on the other lower part of Uasin Gishu and Trans Nzoia, almost on the border when you are approaching that is the other side of the country. So that's why I'm actually so much informed about this. Oh, Amar Savad tells me it's not clear. I think it must be hanging then. There must be a situation of hanging. I don't know. Are you seeing maybe as you watch there is some hanging aspect? Because I tend to find that when I'm doing live streams from this place, unlike when I do them from home. All right, let me have the answer, Amar Savad, before I proceed, because it's always good when you're doing a live stream, it should be clear. But when it's not clear, then the objective or the goal is not achieved. So let me know, so that in case that is the situation, I would opt to have a video posted. But sometimes a video takes a while before you get people to really watch, unlike a live stream, which invites or attracts people right when you're doing it. So Amar, let me know, please, before I can proceed. Okay, I'm waiting. Maybe any other person on board, because I can see some other people on board also. Let me know whether it's clear, whether the voice is now clear or whether it's still shaky. Because when you're doing a live, sometimes it happens that you do the live and later on, once you post and you watch it, you realize it's a bit shaky. Maybe let me also check with the computer, because when I'm using the mobile phone, I can also check with the computer just to see whether it's clear. So let me know. I'm waiting for the response before I can proceed, so that I'm not just presenting something that will not be clear at the end of the day. Let me check here. PM. I booked for my. Okay, I'm waiting. Okay, so Amar Savad has told me, yes, your video was not clear, but it's okay. We come to know that actually what you want to tell the world, your message is clear. Okay, thank you. So the video may not be clear because of the lighting. The lighting here is quite bright, and that's why most times I prefer to do videos from home. But unfortunately, when you again at work, you find that you may not achieve your goals as you would do when you're fully at home. I just pray that maybe the YouTube thing should hold, so that I opt for other things that will allow me to do clear videos from elsewhere instead of finding an environment that does not give me what I want. Yeah, so let me also check on the other side so that I see whether it's giving me clear. Whether it's giving me clear. Yeah, I can see here from the computer. I think it's a bit clear, though with a lot of light it affects the visibility, and I'm hoping that I'll be working against this aspect by maybe getting a different camera very soon, so that whenever I'm doing live streams, they are clearer than how they are here. So let me hope that things will be better sooner or later and I find an option. So guys, I was talking about Kitengela. I've ever lived in Kitengela, and that's why I really did this part of Kitengela here. And I'm hoping that during holidays or sometime I'll be there again as we assess our property. And I'll be looking into matters here and there, and also just having the nature walk, which many people are asking for. But sometimes you have to opt for nature walk depending on where you are. So let's look into this and see what is happening around Kitengela. Of course, a lot of young people daring the police and, having that exchange that is not very friendly. So it's so scaring. Sometimes you find that during such demonstration, young people are willing to go to the street and giving their life to the dogs. We call it that. So I don't know. This is the situation here.
Ambayo inafanyika eneo hilo kwa sasa hivi. Vijana wengi ambao walikuwa wapo mitaa wameingia katika mji huu sasa hivi wakiwa wanaweka mawe kwenye barabara. Maafisa wa polisi ambao pia ni wengi katika eneo hili wamekuwa wakijaribu kuzima maandamano haya. Wanapowekewa mawe wamekuwa wakiondoa, lakini vijana hawa kadri unavyowaona kwa wengi, unaona hawa ambao wamenizingira kwa sasa hivi tayari kuelezea kile ambacho kinaendelea katika mji huu. Kumbuka kwamba leo hii ni siku ya kuadhimisha siku ya Sabasaba, ambayo ni maadhimisho ya kukumbuka ule uhuru wa kuwa na vyama vingi humu nchini na kuhakikisha.
So guys, Sabasaba is supposed to be a commemoration of how the multi-party system came about. Of course, in past, we had a dynasty of President Moi, the former, and he would not allow anybody to speak. Unlike currently, where people are trying to speak, and I think Ruto, being a student of Moi, is trying to force back the situations that were in past, but it may be impossible to actually impose the past aspects, right? Yeah, so it happens that then maybe what is supposed to happen, what we would wish it happens, is that they listen to the grievances, because if people are maybe struggling to ensure that they sustain their life from the basic needs, it's good that leaders should look at these basic needs before they go to the others. But now, unfortunately, we are finding that our leaders are kind of want to create their own solutions. Like when you come to the aspect of housing, nobody really needed housing from the government, right? Nobody actually needed that. When you come to health matters, the changeover from NHIF to that is the SHA, the SHA, it came with a lot of questions with whoever is doing it, the raising of fee, the fact that even if they are switching from NHIF to SHA, it was not automatic, It came to education also, and people realized that some of the schools, the capitation itself delays. Then you come to the aspect of university funding, it became a problem. So these are some of the problems that people have been complaining about. And when they go to the street, I don't think they go because they want to commemorate the multi-party system, because they are really there to fight for, or rather even remember The reason why picketing has not been very peaceful in Kenya is that we have political interests, right? So you find that when people go to the streets, we have another group of politicians who are infiltrating, whether they are in government or opposition. Those are just politicians. So they go seeking a way to represent their demands through the young people, or maybe using their own ways, like the goons we have been told about. If you go deeper into it, you realize that it is a kind of movement that is being formed by these politicians, whether the opposition or the government, to create fracas to suit their situation, so that they make the citizens either believe in them, the government, or they believe in the opposition. Now, when we look at the live aspects that are happening, let's look at one situation of live and see. Now let's look at Thika Road here, for example.
Ile noble cause ambao jenzi wako nayo. Kwa kwa ni vyema kama hivi. Baki kwa nyumba, fanya kazi yako ya maana. Hatutaki tupeleke vifo kwa wazazi. Mimi niliandamana nikachoka. Unaona? Hakuna kenyesi zinaleta. Now, from my title, you understand, I tried to, whatever I was showing here is that people are desperate, and as long as they're shouting for the go thing, they are not achieving their mission, right? And even though some celebrate and say it's a holiday, and some are like, we've come to so far, that is, and some are burning, looting, hooting, shouting around. At the end of the day, people are feeling like the effort is not worth it. Because at the end of the day, what happens is that we have some young people who die, property is lost, businesses are closed, so the economy is dwindling, of course, with time. But we have a kind of repression that must be handled. It must be handled. As far as politicians are taking it for a joke, and you know, they have a better life. They have a way to get to their places of work. They have a way to get out of the. But the scary situation with this demonstration is that those who die at the end of the day, they are children of this. Some of them the only source of maybe income within families, and realize that sometimes it is people who are just agitated, but they can anything. So people are opting that instead of shouting around the streets about one, instead of going to the streets, the best option should be people should actually get the voters' cards, be ready to vote, and then realize whatever goals they have during election time, right? Another thing is that a group which feels like the president is right and will go in for 10 years, maybe the beneficiaries, maybe on tribal grounds. Kenya is one country that is very tribal. We have some tribes, they work in terms of tribes. Who is buying? It's from my tribe, so I vote for them. That's how Kenya runs. And no wonder year after year, sometimes there is recycling of poor leadership. And as far as this demonstration become a scary movement, another scary motion is when elections are approaching. People fear a lot. You realize that when it reaches almost 2027, you'll see a lot of families relocating from cities to the rural setting. The repercussions of staying in the city, then wars or rather demonstration, burning, hooting begins, and they lose their families. Now, this is a trend that is not very good in Kenya. And however much people will be always talking about Kenya is hakuna matata. Of late, I don't think we can still claim that Kenya hakuna matata, because
when you look at what has been happening and compare the rest of the days with today, it has been a scary situation, chaotic indeed, with people trying to invade the city because there was blockage of main roads in the city. However, when you look at what happened at Kitengela, for example, Meru, which has always been peaceful, and the other place was where? Of course, Kitengela, with some burning here and there. Then you realize that young people are still chaotic. And if they are not in the streets, they are on the internet. Be sure of that. Now, for all the kind of presentations we make, whether it is Citizen, NTV, and any other channel, whether they are vloggers or whether it is a channel that is on in the country, you realize that people are there typing about Nairobi, typing about Nakuru, typing about Thika, also maybe posting pictures of what is happening, also showing their wishes and grievances, some complaining, Yeah, so that is actually what is happening. And I wanted to show another scene of Kisii, Kisii, whereby the young people thought that when the police were filling a city, or rather not even a city but a town, the young people thought that the police were coming to kill them. Why? Because after the 25th June demonstrations, we saw our CS of Interior coming out and saying that they should shoot people. And of course, as far as he came out explaining what he meant, people never understood him up to now. They are still saying that he has ordered the killings. We also saw Oscar Sudi, coming out and talking about the shooting, that if you go near the police, you'll be shot 20. 20 good, you deserve 20 good shots, not just one. Now let's look at what happened here. Like people thinking that there's state of emergency that is forthcoming, and I don't know whether that is really true. Now in Karatina, we had a lot of gunfire. Yeah, a lot of gunfire here. Let's see.
Sara hata moja, hakuna duka, hakuna kituo cha kuuza petroli, hakuna wale wachuuzi ambao wamejaa hapa kwa siku ya kawaida. Na huo moto uko saizi kando ya barabara, pembeni mwa barabara pande zote mbili. Ni dakika chache zilizopita ni moto ambao ulikuwa katikati ya barabara kabisa, ulikuwa umewashwa na wale vijana ambao wamekuwa hapa, ambao tunaarifiwa kwamba walianza maandamano mapema saa 11 za alfajiri, ndipo walipoanza maandamano. Na kwa mbali hapo na shughuli ambaye anaonekana kwamba pengine anashiriki maandamano, hawataki wakaribiane na wao. Na kwa sasa ni hali tu ilivyo hapa. Wale banda ambao walikuwa wanaandamana hapa kwa sasa wamekuzana na maafisa wa polisi, wamesonga katika nyuma ya maduka ya hapa. Duka kuu la Madai iliporwa na wale baadhi ya wale walikuwa wakiandamana hapa, na nafikiri ndio maana wale wafanyabiashara kwamba eneo la Kibingoti ukikaribia mkutano, na pia ni kati tu ya barabara kuu ya Nairobi kuja.
So Amar Savar is asking whether I am in army or social worker. I'm a civil servant, but not in the army or social work. But I really hold humanity at heart, and I really follow the politics of the day, whether it's in Kenya. I've also done something in Jamaica, something about the United States of America, and Congo, Togo. So if you follow the videos on my channel, of course, you realize that I'm so much interested into politics. There is even a time I did something about Sudan. On the other channel, that is Edutainment for Us. So it's just that I feel that we are answerable to whatever happens around us, whether it's a natural disaster as what has happened in Texas, whether it's massive shooting that we have seen in America, or the situation of Congo with armed rebels, or the situation of Kenya where the frustrations and protests for freedom and the kind of fights we are seeing, fight for justice that is happening in the country. So it just makes a day, because when a day goes down and these things are happening, they become very fundamental and critical in defining our tomorrow. I always think that today's politics define tomorrow, the yesterday's politics define today. And I understand, for example, when we look at America, how did Trump come back as a president? That's the question I say. And when you go back to history, why Trump had to come back and become a president, you understand. People looked at who is going to the previous regime, and they really looked a lot into what had been achieved. And now they rejected the lady because they thought she's coming in just in another shade of the previous regime. So I love this aspect of discussion. What about the international media and international human rights law? What are they doing? We are hearing a lot of discussions going on in the behind the tables or offices with the international human rights really declaring that things such as abductions, things such as extrajudicial killings, the use of force by the police should stop. But it is what it is. In Africa sometimes we have a common say which says Afrika nywele ngumu. That means that Africans have a tough hair. And it's a metaphor that represents how we can be stubborn, how stubborn we can be. So when our leaders get into an office, they think they have a right. When you look on Facebook, for example, and so many other platforms, you realize people are saying that a president must go for 2 terms. Others are saying must go for 1 term. And if you look at the president himself, he's not ready to go anywhere, not ready. And because now he has ensured that he oils the hands of many people around him, those people are there to defend him. And sometimes evidence is really a hard thing to reach, like as far as we'll see, like the police who shot the masked man in the city, he was not even defending himself, he was not attacking anybody. We are just seeing silence on that, and it takes a lot of time for investigations to go on and even for them to bring to light what is happening. We saw the case of Ndiangui recently, and of course it looked like he had been traumatized out of something that he did not want to share. We saw the death of Ojwang, and of course the international media or international human rights come in, Al Jazeera and what have you, they air whatever is happening, they share the expectations, they make demands. But we do not really see that change because the leaders are very stubborn and they really want what they want, They have people surrounding them, those people are benefiting, and those people are there to ensure that the reggae continues, if you understand what I'm saying. So what happens is that regardless of the noise people make, regardless of the international bodies coming in, I think the international bodies sometimes rely on some of these bodies that we think they are independent, but then they are not independent at all. For example, IPOA. If I tell you that IPOA is a body that people think is independent, however, when you deep down, if you research or sit down to look at it, you don't see how IPOA is really doing independent work. Some of the officers who work there used to work for the government, and they are like moles working for the government to ensure that the government of the day runs. And if it changes again, they just dance the tune. It's like changing the forest, but the monkeys are the same, right? So the tricks become a kind of African politics. If you can actually refer to the situation of Uganda and other African nations, you realize that it's a tough situation, whereby some of the leaders say what they want to say, however cruel and unconstitutional it is, they still survive, they still survive. So I think up to that point, Amar Savado, you understand the situation in Kenya, right? Yeah, so let's see other frustrations that are happening on this scary day. And of course, the scary moment or chaotic aspect comes from the past and the fact that people had what Sudi said, that in case people go to the street, let them be ready for 20 bullets in their heads, We also saw CS Murkomen saying that if people dare the police, they'll be shot. That is how chaotic it is. Now, the young people also threatened that they'll do what they want to do. They'll go to the streets and give their life, and that will be it. The police, on the other hand, we heard those who are saying they'll do what they have to do, and we saw those who are saying that they'll not, because as far as the CS is trying to tell them that let them do what they do and they'll be protected, not all of them feel like they'll be protected. And so let's look at the fact that now the city is blank. When you look at this demonstration, or rather SABASABA Day, compared to the previous one, we see that the city is blank. You can actually see in the videos I've shown you that you cannot see people walking around, and if there is anybody, it's maybe one or two. One thing they did is they ensured that if people want to invade the city, if you want to go to the city, you show your ID, and once they see the ID, they prove that you work also by your badge, you know. But now I'm looking at the situation of people like teachers. Teachers don't have badges, most of them. In fact, all of them, if you work for TSC, you don't have a badge. So I'm wondering, because within the city we have some few schools there, we see Araya, we normally see, we see or just on the other side of the hospitals, we have a school there, Upper Hill, you know. Near Central Police Station, we have some schools. Now, I'm wondering, up to now, I have to get maybe to call somebody and understand what happened to the schools, because now in such a situation, teachers don't have badges. So they only have IDs. What do you have to prove that you're going to town, you know, for a specific business? Now, in 12 minutes ago, all the business were closed in the city, and the drivers were, you know, instructed not to get in. So there's no way they can get into the city. And so this is the scene that was shown here.
Tupate taswira ya sehemu nyingine ya jiji la Nairobi ilivyo, barabara ya Haile Selassie ambapo Kelly Boss amekita kambi pale. Tuchore taswira ilivyo kwa sasa. Kwako Kelly.
Asante sana. I'll go ahead and paint a picture of what I have experienced in town. But before that, just to, you know, establish where I am, on Harambe Avenue.
All right, so I'm Amar Savad. I'm called Priska. That is my name, though I use the channel name, but I always remind people that I'm called Priska. That is my name. And thank you for being impressed with the knowledge I'm offering here. Of course, given that I really do a lot of research, I do academic writing, creative writing, and I really, really love reading and being trendy, you know, understanding the situation on the ground as they are, you know, knowing what currently is happening in UK, America, Texas, you know, Jamaica, South Africa, and all over the places. At least places I have subscribers, you know, I have subscribers from these places, and they really come encourage me. So I have to know something about where they are, and when I don't know, sometimes I ask them. They come and give me comments. They tell me JLP is this, PNP is this. The reason why maybe Wilmington apologizes is this. The reason why Wellington, also the teacher, apologizes is this, you know. So such kind of situation help me to have that information required for my presentations here, the discussions with my subscribers, and all that. Because if you don't know information, then what will you be delivering? And with my interest in political aspects, the growth, the advancement of nations in terms of economic, health, political situations, and all that, have reinforced me to really go into research a lot of times. And no wonder I do maybe understand things that happen around. I don't want to be on a table with people that are talking and then I don't know what to say. I don't want to come here on YouTube presenting and I'm guessing, you know. So Amar Savad, that is what motivates me really to go deep into information research. And again, when you are tutoring or rather coaching young people, you need to have this information so that when you refer, when you talk about things here and there, then you really understand what you're talking about. Yeah, so thank you so much about giving me that comment. So let's go back to CBD, Nairobi, and see what is happening there. Of course, you've seen the scenes in Wote, young people trying to disrupt the police and the police really on board. Yeah, so let's see this CBD again.
Any other road that is main that allows access in town is really heavy on police and a barricade right there. So that's just the picture. In fact, let me just explain and paint a picture how we have been able to get to Harambe Avenue. Is we came all the way from Mayaki Way, talking to that have been stopped access to town. And then we had to go inside Westlands and then head towards, as if you're going to Parklands, come through Ngara, and then use University Way.
Hey, that's a long way, long way.
And, just trying to explain to them that we are reporters and we are just trying to, do our job and down to do the protests. Usually, if you think about it, even the protests that were led by the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, is that he used to force the government, at least he used to stop to business, at least in town, so that the government can react, So even though the Gen Z are not in town, anyway, business has been stopped. If you look around, there's no business that is open, and nobody is really, around to even, do any town business. So the mission, if it was to stop businesses have been stopped typically, with or without protests. And in this case, of course, it's because
so of course, when you look at the situation, then you understand that it's a kind of state of emergency for the day. Because now if business is not going on, if schools in the city are not proceeding, if people are maybe there is barricade and the army sitting on the roads where they are barricaded, that is Kenyatta Road, that is Waiyaki Way. If you look at the Nairobi Way, Nairobi University Way, if you look at Jogoo Road, those are main roads that get into town. Thika Road is also main, So if such roads have been barricaded, that means that there is some kind of state of emergency in particular places. Now, when you go to the outskirts, other cities, like other towns, like Meru, Nakuru, you go to Mombasa, you go to Kakamega. So, of course, everywhere else, it's like the police are just moving about in groups and they are afraid that something might erupt. Maybe until tomorrow, let's watch and see what will happen. But of course, with the trends, we hope that maybe things will change. The leaders will see the interest of the citizens and do better. However, it has been unfortunate that as young people keep pressing, as the citizens keep showing their frustrations and sharing their grievances, nobody listens to them at all. Nobody. And I don't know what will happen in case the current government goes in for another 5 years. We don't know what will actually happen. So thank you for being on board, especially Amar Savad. I also saw some people coming but disappearing. I've seen about 3 people currently on, and I really appreciate for the 2 likes that I received, and maybe with time I'll be receiving more. I don't give up, because when you start a mission, then you have to achieve your goal. Yeah, so thank you so much. We are growing very fast in this channel, by the way, since I started doing lives every day and sometimes posting videos on the current matters everywhere. Yeah, so I don't know why the government is also really blaming the opposition, saying they are giving offensive statements against the president all over the places, and they are actually blaming the opposition that is coming up for whatever is happening. So let's hope for the best, and that is it. So Amar Savada, yes, you are never give up. You have a deep knowledge. Whenever you want to come to India, you can come to my place with free, of course. Don't worry, I'll roam you India. Thank you so much. By the way, India is one of the places that I have a lot of subscribers, and I know that if you really have promised me this, then I'll be looking for, I hope that is your real name, and maybe if I can get things to do with emails and so forth, because I'm targeting to begin traveling around the world. I'm just collecting resources here and there, and I'm hoping to start traveling around the world. And India is one of my destinations, of course, because I have a lot of audience from India, and I would really want to explore into the past. Mahatma Gandhi And then there was Teresa who came to India and was on the street with the kids. And there's a lot about India. In fact, I've been really into their music trainings, some students in those dances. If you look at my other channel, that is Entertainment for Us, you will see a lot of dances that I've done with learners. And I really love their music, which is so interesting. Some of their cultures to do with beards, to do with their temples and all that. So thank you very much for the promise. Maybe you can reach me on the email, or rather, maybe, I don't know, whether WhatsApp or whatever. So you can reach me, inbox, then we see a way forward. So appreciation, adios for now. Let me break into other matters. Bye-bye.